I woke up one day and decided to challenge myself as a Pokemon Nuzlocke. I settled on the infamous Emerald Kaizo and made it my mission to play the best that I possibly could. No battle items, no EVs, and the AI was always on high. This is how it went. In Falarbor Town's market, they sold evolution stones, so I was able to buy a moonstone to finally evolve my Nidorina. I did the Fitness Grand Pacer test on Route 114 until I got Swablu as my first encounter. I got a paralysis off with Chimecho, Rock Smash to Red, and on my first Great Ball, it was mine. I ran suicide lines in Falarbor trying to get a new encounter. Aeron is another one of my Hoenn favorites. I headbutt it, shipping away, and status it until it's time to finally catch it. Needless to say, I took Aeron and Swablu and I started grinding away. New episode and we're still not done dealing with Team Magma, so here we go again. Opening with the Wheezing to my new Aggron, I go in with the nice and powerful Iron Tail and got the defense drop, but was met with Will-O-Wisp. I push through and knock it out until Rapidash gets sent out. I don't have a good response outside of Swampert, but I'm not only outsped, but I fall victim to a flinching Mega Horn, leaving critical injuries on Swampert before I finally crushed it. I think Altaria is going to be a perfect and easy counter to Blossom, but not only did Air Slash fail to kill, but Blossom fired back with a Sleep Powder. It's slammy with Double Edge, but it recovers its residual with Lefties and Synthesis until I finally wake up again. Even then, it lived and died to its own Double Edge. Magneton was invisible, having T-Waved absorbed by Nidoqueen and getting Drill run into the ground. With more Magma Grunts on the way, I give up Mawile and Venusaur since I'm expecting more fire types, and because Aggron outclasses Mawile so far. I also have to accept that the first grunt was a bad sign, so I'm going in a lot more prepared. The next grunt was definitely much more of a struggle to get through. Chimecho put in work again on the offense, mowing through two Mons with Aggron being something of a two-way juggernaut itself, putting out respectable damage even through the burn. I do have to say I was incredibly close to losing someone, but still no deaths when the Vileplume comes in. I stopped to look at my team so I can see who needed the next battle more between my lowest level Pokemon. Altaria was way further to level 44 than Charizard was, so I decided that for the next Magma battle, I was going to lead with him. And thank God that I did that, because the next Magma Grunt that I ended up battling started off with none other than a Wobbuffet. Even though I had both physical and special attacks, I played it safe, going for 5 smoke screens before attacking, since Counter and Mirror Coat both have the capability of missing. Once that was done, I was safe to move in for the kill. I stayed in on Camerupt with Aggron expecting an Earthquake. I did a great deal of damage and attacked first. When I lived the Earthquake, I was more comfortable trusting my gut. Venusaur tried a ground move and Dodrio wasn't a threat either, so it was GG. To save time in the video, I'll show this collage montage demonstrating the rest of the grunts and how they were way easier, only needing about 2 Pokemon to run through all of their teams. In Meteor Falls, I witnessed Anime Convention meets Boys in the Hood as grown men racketeer while they cosplay. Not to mention, a Jack Sparrow wannabe who looks like he belongs in Waterworld at Universal threatens me and set trips on the way out. Meanwhile, a nerd confesses to being an accessory to domestic terrorism. My Falls encounter was unknown, as in, it's unknown if I'll ever carry enough to use this thing. I'm skipping ahead here, but I beat this black belt with 1 Pokemon, which is a great sign of Nidoqueen's progress thus far. Here's the proof. With all the goons on the mountain, I now have access to the cable car, so I can finally get up to the volcano. When I get there, I get jumped at the gate, but let's just say it was an easy battle. Then, I witnessed terrible things. Crips and Pyrus squabbling on the volcano, and I was just a tourist.
Process he about to go through is he about to go through a 3-person square, and he's gonna have to fight to prove himself and let me know that he's gonna rep the game.
In the middle of this gang war, I square up with Magma admin Tabitha, stopping me from squashing the beef. He let off Dodrio against Aggron and reveals Hidden Power, a new threat that I need to watch out for. I return the favor with the Righteous Rock Slide, and that's 3 birds with 1 stone. Nidoqueen comes in case of an electric attack, but Manectric busts out Hidden Power as well, getting off 2 because of the switch-in, but a Drill Run puts him in his place. Altaria arrives to dodge the Earthquake from Flygon and outspeeds for a devastating Dragon Claw. It doesn't kill though, so Flygon gets his rocks off for less than I thought before he finally goes down as well. I brought Hariyama for another switch option, but it takes more damage than I had hoped. The Flash Cannon beats him down, but Cross Chop ended up landing, putting the Aggron on a poster. My own Aggron was back at it to shrug off the poison onslaught that ensued, and catches a surprise flamethrower in the process. After firing back at it, I stay in, expecting another flamethrower, but instead, wheezing suicides. I send out Nidoqueen hoping to tank the opening hit. Expecting Earthquake, I swapped into Altaria once again, but I get struck with Overheat for 30 damage. Then, it lands Extreme Speed, which I surprisingly lived. I Dragon Claw, then I switch to Nose Pass so that it will be able to take the incoming resisted Extreme Speed. But with my speed stat, I have to survive another Hidden Power before Nose Pass gets off an Earthquake. The beast didn't die though, so I prayed Chimecho could eat 2 hits in a row. In the end, Overheat's recoil was suicide, winning us the battle against Tabitha. At the climax of all this chaos and mayhem, I was face to face with Team Magma leader Maxie. My Nidoqueen was such a great option for me throughout all of these battles, I decided to lead with her. But of all Pokemon, I had no idea Maxie would lead with Registeel. I took my chances risking Earthquake and went straight in for a Drill Run, which only managed 50%. Like any legendary Pokemon, Registeel responds with Earthquake. But it did less than half, giving Nidoqueen the legroom to finish Registeel with the crit to boot. I was absolutely relieved. Alakazam was no doubtedly launching its Psychic attack, so I lean into Aggron to resist it. But this is a 2nd generation Alakazam with the super effective Fire Punch. Aggron lived with 23 health though, sending Houdini flying. With the bulky Dusclops next, I thought that an even fatter Hariyama would be my best move in terms of damage output and defensive capabilities. Seismic Toss wasn't a threat, and I busted out my new Shadow Punch attack, knocking it on its ass. After it finished another Seismic Toss attack, we see it's holding the leftovers item, bringing it back up to above half of its health. Hariyama fires off a 2nd Shadow Punch, aiming to kill, but the lefties mattered because he ended up living on 1. He uses rest here, though despite going back up to full health with no Lumberry and just enough luck, he was a sitting duck. After taking 2 hits, Dustox finally goes down. Maxie sent out the Psychic type Claydol, and I didn't have anyone I was comfortable sending out, so I stayed for the Psychic attack. Thankfully, Hariyama ended up living with 41, getting in 1 last Shadow Punch. I expected another Psychic, so I swapped to the weakened Aggron, who lived by the hair on his balls with 2 HP. Next was Altaria for the inevitable ground move, and with 100% health, it was able to use Dragon Claw to finish things. Crobat was gonna Poison Fang for sure, so I risked Aggron to nullify it and dodged a Toxic, letting my real pivot take a weaker attack on the switch. Chimecho comes in and only has to deal with surviving an Air Slash attack. Of course, Crobat opts for the Poison Fang on the next turn, and unfortunately, gets me badly poisoned. But Chimecho gets a Psychic attack in on the bat with yellow life left, so only one of us was going to die at the end of this turn. Maxie's final Pokemon was a Houndoom, so I take a huge risk swapping to Hariyama for a Dark move with only 41 HP. Crunch only does 31 and funnily gets a defense drop. Before I swap though, I use Hariyama to get a free Fake Out, further helping the rest of my team secure a kill. I go to Nidoqueen hoping for a Poison Point to get rid of the berry it probably had. Funnily, it used Poison Fang, so I hella resisted that, and Karma smacks back with the ability popping off. I called the Lumberry, so I made good headway, giving myself a higher position to attack from. Houndoom uses Overheat instead of a Crunch to dodge another poison, which leaves me in a fatal position, but at the cost of doing itself enough recoil damage to leave it halfway dead. Naturally, my drill run buries Maxie there, and with Team Magma leader Maxie out of the way, I could now make my way to the gym.